All right, let's jump right in. Today's explainer is a full-on immersion. We're going to unlock 170 essential French words by taking a structured, virtual journey through a typical day. If you've been searching for a way to truly lock these crucial vocabulary words into your brain so they actually stick, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to map these terms out so you can just effortlessly absorb them. Let's get started.
So, here's our roadmap for the day. We're hitting 4 main areas: core traits and actions, navigating school and tech, exploring nature and places, and finally, feelings, thoughts, and objects. This structure is going to help us tackle a massive amount of vocabulary without ever feeling overwhelmed.
Starting right off with Section 1, Core Traits and Actions. Literally, the absolute foundations you need before you can do pretty much anything else in the language. You know, it's actually fascinating. Our brains are practically hardwired to learn opposites much faster when they're paired directly together. So, instead of trying to memorize some random disconnected list, pair them up in your mind. Think of rapide, which conveniently sounds just like rapid, for fast, right alongside long, for slow. Facile, for easy, is the direct opposite of difficile, for difficult. And when you see plein, for full, immediately think of vide, for empty. Trust me, this visual contrast is an absolute game changer for your memory.
Continuing with that idea of opposites, let's tie these directly to your everyday physical experiences. Imagine ordering a chaud, a hot coffee versus a froid, or cold one. Or hey, maybe you just want it tiède, warm. Picture throwing on a propre, clean shirt instead of a sale, dirty one. When you can mentally visualize a jeune, young person standing right next to a vieux, old person, the vocabulary just completely locks into your visual memory.
And that brings us to the final batch of our descriptive pairs. We've got fort, strong, contrasting heavily with faible, weak, or someone who is gentil, kind, versus someone who's just méchant, mean. Take a quick second to capture these in your head, and we'll end with a really crucial word, important, which, thankfully, means exactly what it looks and sounds like in English, important. That word is the perfect bridge to our next concept, taking action.
Think about it. Every single action you take in a day has a natural life cycle. Notice how this logical progression flows. You aren't just learning random verbs here, you're learning the story of an action. First, you commencer, you commence or start. Then you continuer, you continue. Eventually, you finir, you finish. And the final outcome, well, you either réussir, succeed, or échouer, fail. Structuring the words into a story like this makes them virtually unforgettable.
Now, as our day rolls on, we go through all sorts of internal changes and little goals, right? Notice how these transition verbs reflect exactly that. You grandir or grow, and changer, change. When you inevitably misplace your car keys, you perdre or lose them, but hopefully you trouver or find them later. And look at the mental verbs we use all day long. Penser, to think, croire, to believe, espérer, to hope, and of course, essayer, to try.
So, how do we actually interact with the physical world and the people in it? Well, you montrer, to show something, and you expliquer, to explain it. You demander, to demand or ask for something, and then you wait for someone to répondre, to respond or answer. And as for physical actions, we build things, construire, we clumsily break them, casser, and thankfully, we fix them, réparer. Okay, I know this looks like a massive wall of text, but don't panic. Just think about the natural rhythm of your own day. It goes from grabbing your wallet to payer, or pay for groceries that you acheter, to buy. You porter, or wear your clothes. You pousser, push, and tirer, pull doors open everywhere you go. And finally, you get home to cuisiner, cook, and préparer, prepare dinner. It's literally just your daily routine.
Let's keep this momentum going and jump into Section 2, Navigating School and Technology. We'll see how this vocabulary builds seamlessly into our work, study, and digital lives.
Whether you're a full-time student or just a lifelong learner watching explainers like this one, these are your academic tools. You study a matière, a subject, like histoire for history or science. When you're working on an exercice and you hit a roadblock with a question, you go seeking a réponse, an answer. And where's the best place for that? The bibliothèque, the library. A really great mental hook here is to think of a bibliography to remember bibliothèque.
Let's be real. In our modern world, we simply can't operate without technology. You're probably watching this very explainer on an ordinateur, a computer, or maybe a téléphone, a phone. You are staring at the écran, the screen. You might use a clavier, keyboard, or a souris. which literally translates to mouse. These words are your daily digital bread and butter, especially when you're desperately searching for internet because your connection just dropped.
All right, time to step away from those glowing screens. Let's head outside for Section 3, Exploring Nature and Places.
Nature gives us an incredibly vivid context for retaining these nouns. Really picture the landscape in your mind's eye. You look up at a calming ciel bleu, a blue sky. Think of it as the ceiling of the world. But that might suddenly fill with a nuage, a cloud, bringing pluie, rain, or even a fierce orage, a storm. Whether you're wandering through a forêt, a forest, or standing by the océan, the ocean, anchor these French words to that rich imagery.
And what's nature without animals, right? They bring such vibrant life to this list. Whether it's domestic pets like a friendly chien, dog, or an independent chat, a cat that probably completely ignores you. Then you've got farm animals like a vache, cow, and mouton, sheep. Or maybe you dream of seeing a lion or a tigre on safari. Associating the French word with the mental image of the animal is by far the quickest way to learn it.
Okay, quick question. Before we hit the busy, bustling city streets, I want you to pause and think. How exactly do you express a problem when you're traveling, and what exact transit words are you going to need to get yourself back on track?
Let's actually trace a journey to map out this urban vocabulary. You start in a pays, a country. You arrive at the airport, on an avion, airplane. You grab your luggage, get a billet, ticket, and take a train to the ville, the city. You walk down the rue, the street, maybe check a cart, map, until you finally reach your hotel. By connecting the words into a continuous story like this, the vocabulary practically memorizes itself.
We've covered a lot of ground, and as our virtual day winds down, we hit Section 4, Feelings, Thoughts, and Objects. Time to turn inward. Emotions make for incredibly powerful memory anchors. We can attach a personal mini story to each emotion, turning abstract words into really relatable memories. Think of amour, love, or joie, joy. Contrast that warm feeling with tristesse, sadness, or peur, fear. When you feel sudden stress, which conveniently is the exact same word in French, versus calme confiance, or confidence, try to name it in French in your head. Grounding these emotional words in your actual, real-time feelings accelerates your fluency like crazy.
And behind the scenes, our minds are constantly at work, right? Think of your own internal process. It starts with your imagination, which sparks a pensée, a thought, or maybe a wild rêve, a dream. Eventually, that solidifies into an idée, an idea. When you face a problem, you lean on your mémoire, memory, to make a choix, a choice, ultimately landing on a final solution or réponse. It's the anatomy of a thought.
Now, imagine physically unpacking your sack, your bag, at the end of a long day. You empty your pockets, pulling out your clé, keys, hopefully you didn't lose them, and your portefeuille, wallet. You take off your montre, watch, and your lunettes, glasses. You hang up your manteau, coat, and just kick off your chaussures, shoes. Tying these specific words to a physical routine you do every single day makes them second nature.
Ah, finally, the day is done. We get to relax at home surrounded by the simple, comforting objects. You switch on the lamp. You turn on the télévision. You settle back onto your oreiller, pillow, and pull up a nice warm couverture, blanket.
To wrap up this explainer, I want you to look at this one powerful sentence. Avec une bonne idée, il est possible de réussir ce voyage. With a good idea, it is possible to succeed on this trip. This entire sentence is built almost exclusively from the very words you just learned with us today. So as you step out into the world with these 170 new words in your back pocket, what will your very first French sentence be?